Welcome to Night Shift Knowledge, a quiet place in the late hours where you can finally let go of the day. Take a moment to settle in, soften your shoulders, and allow the busy world to fade completely into the background. Tonight, we are going on a gentle journey through the fascinating corners of science, biology, and history. Before we begin, please know that the screen will fade to dark very soon. You can safely rest your eyes and leave this video playing as you drift off to sleep. I would also love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below with a general topic you would like me to cover in a future video. It is always a pleasure to read your ideas and shape this channel around what brings you peace. If you find comfort in this space, a like and a subscribe would be deeply appreciated. To ensure the next video quietly finds its way to you, please tap the notification bell. So as your breathing slows and your room grows a little darker, let your curiosity drift along with my voice. Let us begin. Close your eyes for a moment and listen. It's not the gentle sound of a babbling brook. This is something else entirely. A deep, thunderous roar, a sound of immense, relentless power. It's the sound of thousands of gallons of water, minute after minute, hour after hour, hurling itself off a cliff. This is the sound of a Hawaiian waterfall. Now, imagine the wall of rock behind that falling water. It's dark, slick, and constantly wet. It's a vertical cliff, a sheer face of basalt. From top to bottom, it's taller than a football field is long. Over 300 feet of smooth, wet, vertical stone. It is, by every reasonable measure, an impossible barrier, a wall built by nature itself. And at the very bottom, in the churning, frothy pool, something is moving against the current, not drifting, not swimming, but clinging. It's a fish, but not a large one. It's small, about the length of your finger. It's dark, almost black, with a body built more for clinging than for speed. This is the Nopali rock-climbing goby, Psychopterus stimsoni, and it's about to attempt the impossible. From the safety of the pool, it orients itself. The thunder of the waterfall is all around. The mist hangs thick in the air, and the rock face looms, a colossal, slick, and unforgiving highway leading straight up. How does it even begin? A fish is an animal of water. Its body is shaped for fluid dynamics, for slipping through a liquid world. Its fins are for steering and balance. Its home is the stream, the river, the ocean, not the cliff. Yet here it is. This little goby presses its belly against the dark, wet rock, and it sticks. It doesn't slide off. It holds fast, as if glued in place. It begins to move. But it doesn't swim. There's no water to swim in here, just a thin film over the stone. Instead, it inches. It's a slow, deliberate motion. It attaches its front end, then releases its back end and scoots it forward. Attach, release, scoot. Attach, release, scoot. It's more caterpillar than fish. It is climbing. The scale is almost incomprehensible. Imagine yourself, just a few inches tall, looking up at the sheer face of a skyscraper. A skyscraper that's being constantly hosed down with a fire hose. That's the goby's reality. The climb ahead is 100 meters, a vertical marathon. Every inch is a risk. The water film could run out, leaving it stranded on dry rock. A sudden surge from the waterfall could blast it off its perch. A bird could spot this dark, slow-moving speck. The effort itself must be a tremendous burn of energy for a creature built for water. So the core question hangs in the mist-filled air. How? How can a fish do this? What secret does this little climber hold? The answer isn't in mighty muscles or sharp claws. It's in a subtle, brilliant piece of evolutionary engineering. A modification so perfect for this one task, it seems almost like a magic trick. Where most fish have two separate pelvic fins, this goby has something different. Those fins are fused together. They form a single circular disc, a powerful biological suction cup. This is its pelvic sucker, its secret weapon. A patch of specialized skin that can create a vacuum against the wet rock. It's this sucker that lets it anchor its body to defy gravity, to hold on against the sliding force of the water. But the sucker is only part of the story. To climb, it needs 2 points of contact. It attaches its sucker, then it reaches forward with its head. Its mouth also plays a role in adhesion. It's a 2-point anchor system, playing out in slow motion. This is the mystery we begin with. A tiny, persistent fish on a vast, roaring wall. An animal from one world performing a feat from another. This isn't just a fish out of water. This is a fish conquering the rock. The journey of the Nopali goby is one of the most extreme migrations in the animal kingdom, and it all starts here at the base of the impossible climb. Every single goby in the adult population upstream made this journey. They all scaled this wall. So as we imagine this one individual begin its ascent, we're seeing a ritual older than human history, a life or death trial written into its very genes. It's heading home. To reach the quiet, algae-rich streams of its adulthood, it must first become a mountaineer. The climb is just the beginning of the story, but it's the defining chapter. It's the feat that makes everything else about this fish so extraordinary. To understand its body, its life, its very existence, you must first understand this moment. This confrontation between a fingertip-sized fish and a waterfall that seems to touch the sky. Listen to that waterfall again. Hear its power, its indifference. Now, imagine the faint scraping sound of a small, determined body inching its way upward, one sticky attachment at a time. A sound completely drowned out by the roar, but happening nonetheless. The impossible climb is underway. So we've met the waterfall, and we've met the fish. A tiny dark speck against that impossible wall of water and stone. It seems like a mismatch of epic proportions, the most powerful force in the stream against one of the smallest. How does it even begin to attempt such a thing? The answer is written in its body. Evolution has sculpted this fish into a specialist of the vertical world. It isn't just trying to climb. It's built to climb. Let's start with its most famous tool, its sucker. If you could hold this goby in your hand and turn it over, you wouldn't see two little pelvic fins like most fish have. Instead, its belly is a single broad disc, a perfect oval of flesh fused together. This is its pelvic sucker, and it works exactly like a plunger. To climb, the goby presses this disc flat against the wet rock. Then it lifts the center of the disc just a little. That action creates a vacuum seal, a powerful suction cup holding it tight to the surface. The force of the waterfall pounding down next to it doesn't matter. The slickness of the algae-covered stone doesn't matter. That suction cup holds. But a suction cup alone would just stick it to one spot. To move, it needs a second point of contact, and for that, it uses its mouth. Yes, its mouth is also an adhesive organ. The goby can press its lips to the rock and create another, smaller suction seal. So picture it stuck to the vertical face. It's attached by its belly sucker. It leans forward and presses its mouth to the rock a little higher up. A new seal forms. Then it releases its belly sucker. With a quick, muscular flick of its body, it pulls its entire back end up. Its belly sucker slaps back down on the rock, now higher than it was. It releases its mouth and it's inched upward. That's its signature movement, the inching climb. Belly sucker, mouth sucker, release, pull, slap, release. Over and over again. It's a slow, deliberate, exhausting rhythm, a rhythmic slap of flesh on wet stone. It isn't graceful swimming, it's deliberate, arduous climbing. Now, this creates a fascinating problem. If your mouth is your other climbing hand, how in the world do you eat? You can't be sucking onto a rock for dear life and trying to bite food at the same time. Evolution's solution to this is brilliant and a little bizarre. The Nopali goby has, in effect, two sets of jaws. The first set is the one it uses for climbing, the lips and the front of its mouth. They're for adhesion, but behind that, deep in its throat, is its second set. Scientists call this the pharyngeal jaw. Specifically, a bone called the serrator branchial. It's lined with tiny, tome-like teeth. When the goby finds a patch of algae on a rock, it doesn't use its front mouth to bite. Instead, it presses its climbing mouth to the rock above the algae. It anchors itself. Then it extends this secondary throat jaw forward like a little scraper. It rasps that comb of teeth across the stone, scraping off the thin, nutritious film of diatoms and algae. Think about that for a second. Its dinner plate is the cliff it's climbing. Its fork is in its throat. It eats by anchored scraping. Every meal is a testament to its adapted life. So, this is the goby's toolkit: a vacuum cup belly, an adhesive mouth, and a throat full of specialized scrapers. This is the anatomy of a superfish, a body completely reimagined for a life on the cliffs. But these tools didn't just appear for fun. They serve one ultimate, brutal purpose: to get the fish upstream. To complete a journey that begins not in the fresh water, but far out at sea. To understand why it climbs, we have to trace its life backwards to its very beginning, in the open ocean. So the fish is a machine. A perfect little biological machine built for one impossible task. It has the sucker, the inching motion, and a mouth that can grip. It is, in every way, an animal of the cliff. But that raises a deeper question. If it's so perfectly built for the vertical world of freshwater, why isn't it born there? Why does it have to make this climb at all? To understand that, we have to leave the waterfall behind. We have to travel downstream past the boulders and through the gentler flows to where the stream finally meets the sea. Then we have to go even further, out into the open ocean, because this story doesn't start on a rock face. It starts in the deep, blue, drifting dark. This fish, the Nopali rock-climbing goby, lives two completely different lives. Scientists call it amphidromus. It's a special kind of migratory life cycle. The adults, the climbers we just met, live, feed and spawn in the freshwater streams. The female lays her eggs on the rocks. They're fertilized and they hatch. But the babies, the tiny transparent larvae that emerge, they don't stay. They can't. The current takes them. It sweeps them out of the stream and into the vast Pacific. Imagine that. One moment you're in the sheltered, rocky cradle of a stream. The next, you're adrift in an oceanic universe. You're smaller than a grain of rice, almost invisible, at the mercy of currents you cannot fight. This is the beginning. A tiny speck lost at sea, and then you stay lost. For a long time. This is the great mystery of the goby's life, the larval period. It's a black box. For roughly 2 to 6 months, these microscopic fish are out there in the open ocean, developing and growing. But where and how? Science knows they're there. We've netted them far from shore. But tracking a single, nearly invisible larva across hundreds of miles of open ocean is nearly impossible. So, This part of their life remains a profound question mark. They're out there somewhere, riding the great conveyor belts of the sea. The currents become their nursery and their lottery. Where they end up is a matter of chance, of oceanography, of sheer luck. Think about that gamble. An adult fish spends all its energy climbing a 100-meter waterfall to claim a perfect territory. It spawns, and then it sends its children on a one-way ticket into the unknown. It's the ultimate dispersal strategy. It's how a species that lives in isolated island streams spreads its young. It casts them into the sea, hoping the currents will bring some of them back to any stream, not necessarily their parent stream. Just a stream, months pass, the seasons shift, and somewhere out in that immense blue, a change happens. The larva transforms. It's not a baby anymore. It's a juvenile, what Hawaiians call hinana. It's still tiny, maybe an inch long, but it has changed. Its body is stronger. And crucially, something in its tiny brain or its blood has switched on. A new directive. A deep, irresistible pull, the call of freshwater. Now the ocean is no longer a nursery. It's a gauntlet. The young fish must find land. It must sense the faint chemical signature of a stream mixing with the sea from out in the open water. It must navigate toward it. And this is where the danger becomes immediate and fierce. Picture the coastline. Big waves crash against the rock. The water surges and boils. At the base of a cliff, there might be a small trickle of fresh water spilling out, a stream mouth. This is the finish line of the oceanic journey, and it's ringed with predators. From above, birds watch. Herons and kingfishers look for any flicker of silver in the shallows. From below, larger fish patrol, waiting for these returning migrants. The hinana must swim through this gauntlet, often together in small groups. There's safety in numbers. They dart through the chaotic pounding surf, avoiding beaks and jaws, all while following that faint, growing signal. The taste of home. Not a specific home, but the idea of home. Fresh water. They reach the estuary, the mixing zone where salt and fresh water churn together. For a fish that spent months in the ocean, this is a physiological shock. Its body must start the hard work of switching over, adjusting to live in fresh water. It's a stressful, vulnerable time, but they push forward into the clear, cool flow of the stream. And so, the ocean phase ends. The fish is in fresh water. It has survived the larval lottery and run the predator gauntlet. It is in the stream. And for a moment, you might think the hard part is over. But listen to the stream. It's not quiet here. It's a roar, a constant thunderous roar coming from up ahead. The fish has entered the stream, but the stream is not flat. It's a staircase, a cascading, tumbling, vertical staircase. And the fish is at the very bottom. It rests in a quiet pool and acclimates. Its body finishes its internal change. And as it does, it must also change its purpose. Out in the ocean, it was a drifting animal feeding on microscopic prey. But here, that life is over. To survive, it must become something else. It must become a climber. The tools are there. The sucker is forming. The muscles are developing. But they've never been used, not like this. The instinct is there too. A deep, relentless drive to go up, to ascend. Why? We don't fully know. Perhaps to find the best feeding grounds, perhaps to escape predators. Perhaps it's just written in their genes. Go up. Always go up. So the young goby, this 1-inch-long veteran of an oceanic odyssey, now faces its final and most iconic challenge. It looks up. The water flows down over rocks and ledges. And somewhere far above is the sound that defines the rest of its life. The waterfall. Not just one, but many. a vertical maze. It finds a rock at the edge of the pool, a wet, sloping rock. And for the first time in its life, it does something extraordinary. It lifts its body out of the buoyant comfort of the water. It presses its pelvic sucker against the hard, solid surface of stone. It's a test, a first touch. The adhesion holds. The fish is stuck to the rock with water rushing over it. This is the moment the ocean animal truly becomes the cliff animal. The call upstream is no longer a chemical signal. It is a physical imperative. It is a sheer wall, waiting. The great ascent is about to begin. So it begins, not with a dramatic leap, but with a subtle shift. The current here at the base of the waterfall isn't just water moving, it's a wall of sound, a relentless, thundering force. For the tiny goby, this is the first gate, not the rock itself, but the chaos before it. The plunge pool is a maelstrom, a churning soup of bubbles and recoiling water. To us, it's a beautiful, powerful spectacle. To the goby, it's a zone of lethal turbulence. It must find a path through this hydraulic punch. A seam of slightly slower water maybe along the side. It's not climbing yet. It's surviving. It navigates by instinct through the deafening roar. And then it finds the rock. The true face of the ascent. It's not a smooth, uniform wall. It's a landscape. A miniature continent of challenges. The first few inches are often the slipperiest, a film of algae, slick as wet soap. For a fish that needs traction, this is like trying to climb a greased pole. Its pelvic sucker slaps against the surface and can slip. It must find a tiny imperfection. A grain of sand, a minuscule crack, a purchase point. Then the inching begins. Remember the machine from before. Now it's under load. Suck, release, move the mouth forward, grip. Suck, release, move. Each cycle gains maybe half an inch. The rhythm is everything. A slow, deliberate metronome against the waterfall's random spray. But the water itself is a trickster. This isn't a steady laminar flow. It's a cascading veil. In some places, a thin, consistent sheet. The goby can move here, almost swimming up the water film. In others, it's a pounding direct hit. A fire hose blast that can pluck a fish right off the rock. The goby must time its moves. It waits for the moment the pounding stream shifts or finds a route behind a curtain of spray. And then there are the overhangs. Imagine climbing a rock face and suddenly it leans out over you. The water pours free, leaving a gap of nothing but air and mist. For a water-breathing fish, this is a terrifying void. It cannot breathe air. Its gills must stay wet. To cross this, it must become a sprinter. It takes a breath of water, holds it in its gill chambers, and makes a rapid scrambling dash across the dry rock. 5 seconds, 10 maximum. A desperate, oxygen-burning scramble to get back under the flow. One missed step, one slip, and it's a fall back into the plunge pool. A total reset. This is where the physiology gets extreme. Think about its body. A tiny bag of salt and water surrounded by different water. In the freshwater stream, its body is saltier. Water wants to flood in. In the ocean, it was the opposite. Now, on the cliff, it's moving between splash zones of pure freshwater, thin films, and air. Its kidneys and special cells in its gills are working overtime, constantly adjusting, balancing salts, preventing its cells from swelling like balloons or shriveling up. It's climbing a physiological mountain as well as a physical one. The soundscape changes as it climbs. From the low, pounding roar at the base to a higher, sharper hiss. The wind whips the waterfall into a fine, stinging mist. This mist is a blessing and a curse. It keeps the rock wet, providing that crucial film for the sucker. But it also soaks the air. The goby is now in a world that is neither fully water nor fully air. A liminal dripping space. Why? Why endure this gauntlet? The evolutionary answer is waiting at the top. But the goby doesn't know that. It only feels the imperative. The drive. Every successful inch is a step away from the crowded, dangerous estuary, away from larger fish, away from predators that wait for easy meals. The climb is a filter. It ensures that only the strongest, the most determined, the most mechanically perfect individuals reach the promised land. So, it inches. Through fatigue, through moments of slippage, its muscles burn with lactic acid. It's a marathon run in slow motion, one grip at a time. You can almost feel the strain in that rhythmic pause between movements. The sucker holding, then the quick shift forward. And then a change. The angle of the rock softens. The pounding water disperses into a gentler, wider flow. The sound of the falls begins to recede beneath it, replaced by the babble of a stream. The goby's last few moves are less of a climb and more of a crawl. It pushes its nose over a final lip and enters a different world. Silence. Relative silence. A calm, deep pool. Sunlight filters through the forest canopy, dappling clear, still water. The current here is a gentle whisper. This is the summit. The predator-free haven. The algal gardens are thick on the submerged rocks. This is the reward for a climb that can be the height of a 30-story building. The goby doesn't celebrate. It simply stops. It rests on a pebble in the shallows. Its gills pulse steadily. The incredible suction disc, the specialized mouth, they are now tools for a different life, a life of scraping and grazing. The great ascent is over. The machine has reached its home, and in these quiet, isolated pools high above the world, the next chapter of its life and the future of its entire species begins. But that isolation creates mysteries of its own. So the goby finally finds its footing. It's past the chaos of the plunge pool. It sucker locks onto the wet rock face, and inch by incredible inch, it begins the ascent. It's a triumph of physics and biology. We can measure the height, but even as we listen to this story, some profound mysteries remain. How does it know where to go? And what happens to it and its descendants once it reaches the top? That tiny fish clinging to a cliff is at the center of two great puzzles. One is about navigation. The other is about creation itself. First, the journey. How does a creature the size of a paperclip, born in a mountain stream and swept out to the open ocean for months, find its way back? Not just to any island, but to the very stream of its birth? To that specific waterfall? The ocean is vast. The Hawaiian shoreline is long, yet every season these hinana gather, and they begin to move with purpose. Scientists have a few leading ideas. One is smell. A stream has a chemical signature. Decaying leaves, mineral runoff, the unique mix of life in its waters. This creates a freshwater plume that extends into the salt water. To a goby, it might be a scent trail, a beacon calling it home. Another clue might be sound. The low, constant roar of a waterfall is a powerful acoustic landmark. It travels far through water. It could be a thrumming bass note drawing them in. And then there are the celestial cues. The sun's position, the polarization of light, even the magnetic field of the earth. These are tools used by many migrating animals. It's possible the goby has a microscopic internal compass, but the truth is, we don't know for sure. It's likely a combination, a layered map of information: smell, sound, and star. For the goby, this isn't a mystery, it's an instinct, a deep, ancient knowing written in its genes. It just feels its way home, and when it arrives, it faces the barrier, the waterfall. That cliff isn't just a physical challenge, it's a filter, a test. Only the strongest, the most determined, the luckiest climbers make it to the top. This has a powerful evolutionary consequence. It creates isolation. Imagine two streams on the same island. They start near the same mountain peak, but their waters take different paths down the volcano. They carve separate valleys, and each valley ends in its own towering waterfall. A goby population lives above each waterfall. They are separated by just a few miles of land, but to them it might as well be an ocean. They cannot climb down. They cannot climb up the other's cliff. They are trapped in their own paradise. Over generations, isolated like this, each population begins to change. Tiny genetic mutations add up. They adapt to the specific algae in their stream, to the precise temperature of their pool. They become, ever so slightly, different from their cousins in the next valley. This is how new species begin, not with a bang, but with a slow, silent drift apart. The climbing goby isn't just one fish, it's a potential engine of biodiversity. Each waterfall is a forge where evolution hammers out a unique form. This story repeats across the Hawaiian chain, from Kauai to Hawaii Island. Each island, each stream, can become its own evolutionary laboratory. Scientists are now studying the genetics of these fish. They're looking for the signatures of separation. They're asking if a goby from Hakalau stream is on its way to becoming a different species than a goby from a stream just over the ridge. The cliff face isn't just a wall of rock, it's a wall that divides and creates. Which leads us to the second great mystery the goby represents. What does its presence mean? Why should we care about a tiny fish on a remote cliff? The answer is connection. The Nopali goby is a living thread. It stitches the entire ecosystem together, from the mountain to the sea. In Hawaiian, they say moka to makai. This fish lives that phrase. Its life depends on that uninterrupted connection. Adults need clean, fast-flowing freshwater streams. Their larvae need the open ocean to develop. The post-larvae need a clear path back inland. Any break in that cycle and the population collapses. So the presence of climbing gobies is a signal, a sign of health. It tells us the stream is flowing freely from its source. It tells us the water is clean enough for their algae to grow. It tells us the estuary at the stream's mouth is intact, a safe nursery for their young. They are an indicator species. A tiny climbing canary in the coal mine of Hawaii's freshwater ecosystems. When the gobies are thriving, it means the whole system is working. The forest is healthy, filtering rainwater into the streams. The ocean is clean, nurturing their larvae. The path home is open. They are a testament to a complete, unbroken world. But when they vanish, it's a silent alarm. It means something is wrong. A dam has blocked their path. Pollution has clouded the water. Water is being diverted, leaving their climbing routes dry. Their disappearance is the first quiet note of a larger song of loss. So these fish hold two kinds of knowledge. One is ancient, written in their DNA. A knowledge of currents and cliffs, of scents and stars. The other is a message for us, a report on the state of their world. And by extension, ours. They climb their way into existence, one impossible inch at a time. They are masters of a vertical realm. And in their silent, determined journey, they ask us two questions. How does life find its way? And will we keep the way open? But the greatest mystery of all may not be in the science. It's in the silence. The quiet that falls when a stream stops flowing. For the Gobi, the climb is everything. It's the culmination of a life's journey. But that journey depends on one simple, constant thing: water on the rock. And on these islands, that water is under siege. The threat isn't dramatic. It's not a predator or a sudden catastrophe, it's a slow, steady drain. Literally. For over a century, water from these mountain streams has been diverted, siphoned away for sugarcane plantations, for pineapple fields, for golf courses and resorts and growing towns. The water is taken from the highlands. It's sent through tunnels and flumes to the dry coasts where the money is. And what's left behind in the original stream? Often just a trickle. Or worse, a series of dry, rocky patches. Imagine that. You are a young Gobi. You've survived the open ocean. You've found the scent of your home stream. You fight your way to the base of a waterfall you are evolutionarily programmed to climb. But the rock face isn't wet. It's dry. The constant film of water it needs for its sucker to work is gone. The climb is now impossible, an evolutionary superpower rendered useless by a man-made drought. This is the central conflict for the Nopali Gobi today. Its world is being fractured by thirst. Not its thirst, ours. The legal battles over Hawaii's water are legendary. They're battles over a public trust, a resource that belongs to everyone and everything. For decades, the fight was framed as agriculture versus development, or one community's needs versus another's. But in recent years, a new, powerful voice has entered the courtroom. The voice of the stream itself, the ecosystem. And at the heart of that argument, often, is a little fish. Conservationists and biologists began to make a compelling case. You can't manage water for just people or just crops. You must leave enough in the stream for the stream to live. For the creatures that are born in it, that climate, that are the original inhabitants of these islands. The Gobi became more than a curiosity. It became an indicator, a symbol, proof of a stream's health. If the Gobi can't climb, the entire upstream ecosystem suffers. It's not just about one fish species. The Gobi is a crucial part of the food web. It eats the algae, keeping it in check. It is food for native birds and other aquatic life. Its migration brings nutrients from the ocean up into the mountain forests. It is a vital link in a chain. Break that link, and the cascade of damage goes all the way to the top. So the fight moved from biology to law, to establish minimum stream flows, to legally mandate that a certain amount of water must remain in the channel, to give the Gobi and all its neighbours a fighting chance. And alongside the legal battles, a quieter, hands-on effort began. Restoration. In some diverted streams, coalitions of state agencies, non-profits and local communities are working to put the water back, to remove old, wasteful diversion dams, to restore the natural flow. But what about those sheer cliff faces, the iconic waterfalls that are now too dry? Here, engineers and biologists have gotten creative. They've designed and installed artificial climbing structures, essentially textured ramps made of rough material. They run water down them continuously, creating a permanent, artificial wet climbway right beside the dry waterfall. It's a bypass, a fish ladder for a suction cup climber. Early results are promising. Gobies have been observed using these structures. They find the flowing water and they climb. It's a testament to their incredible drive and to human ingenuity trying to fix a human problem. Yet, these are solutions at the very edge of the cliff. They treat a symptom. The real cure is a change of heart. a shift in how we see these streams. For a long time, we saw them as plumbing, as irrigation lines coming down a mountain. We saw the water that reached the ocean as wasted. But the story of the Gobi reframes that completely. That water is not wasted. It is the highway, the nursery, the lifeblood of an entire world that is hidden in plain sight. A world of incredible vertical migration, of ancient life cycles, of evolutionary marvels. Protecting the Gobi isn't just about saving a tough little fish with a superpower. It's about recognizing that the health of the land, from the mountaintop to the reef, is connected by these ribbons of fresh water. The Gobi is the climber that connects them all. So the next time you hear the rush of a Hawaiian stream or sense the mist from a waterfall, listen a little closer. In that sound is the pulse of an ancient journey, a climb that defies belief. It's a story written in water and stone, and in the determined inching motion of a fish that refuses to be stopped. Our choice is simple. Will we leave enough water on the rock for the climb to continue? The future of an entire cascade of life clinging to a cliff face hangs in the balance. We have reached the end of tonight's topics, and it is time to let your mind completely unwind. Whatever you learned tonight, let it fade into a soft hum as you drift off. Thank you for being a part of Night Shift Knowledge and sharing this quiet space with me. Remember to leave a topic suggestion for next time if you are still awake, but for now, just rest. Sleep well, and I will be here the next time you need to quiet your mind. Good night.